What's up, guys? This is Gavin Hess, and we are going to be doing a survival challenge today. This is something new we've never done before. It's super nice out today. It's already about 60 degrees, and keep in mind we are still in December, so this is amazing weather. And I got to get outside and do a challenge with you guys. So today we got a few things that we're going to try and do to complete this survival challenge. First off, it's going to be for 2 hours, which is not a very long time, but I have to do a certain amount of things between those 2 hours that makes it a little bit time consuming and challenging. So first off, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to build a windbreaker shelter. So it's got to be a protection, it's got to break the wind, and it's got to be a decent shelter for just one person, which is me. The second mission is we are going to need to make a weapon. It can make a spear, you can make a crossbow, you can make any item that can possibly take the life of an animal that you would need in a survival situation. Obviously, we aren't hunting animals, we aren't staying the night, this is only for 2 hours. And then our third and last challenge is going to be we need to make a bed / ground cover for us to sleep on, quote unquote, for 2 hours. We're not sleeping because we will be working on these challenges the whole time. But sorry for the angle on the camera, it's a slanted slope in this area, but I will keep you guys posted on what is going on with this challenge. Quick overview of what gear we will be using today. Very basic gear, okay? All we need is my go-to Gerber survival knife. I believe the blade is about 6 inches. I will show you guys this in a little bit of action soon. We got a little hand folding saw. This is good for trimming like smaller branches to use as posts for our shelter. And then we got a little bit of a bigger knife, BK9. This one's used for splitting logs, bigger stuff. This is going to be our quote unquote machete for the day, but that's it. That's all we have right now. Of course, I got a water bottle and a couple trail mixes and my trusty compass, you know, just in case we get lost. But I am doing this on a park property. So, and one thing I would recommend is if you are doing this on a property that's public, put it back the way it was before, because leaving a big old teepee around isn't really natural, I would say. But today we are just in the forest, and there's a creek right down there, which is really cool. And there's actually a beaver dam down there as well, which I might show you guys as well. That's gonna be interesting, and it is super nice out today in Olathe, Kansas. 60 degrees already. Believe it or not, it is hotter than Arizona, where my grandparents live right now, which is crazy. But I am going to start with our first challenge, making a survival weapon. And I think I am going to be making a spear. This can be used for hunting deer. It can be used to hunt fish if you see fish in the creek. It is winter right now, so there is no fish, and the creek is frozen. So, I will be making a spear, and I will show you guys how I do that. Alright, so what we are going to be doing is we are going to be making a spear as our survival weapon, which is our first challenge. Create a weapon that can cause lethal / kill an animal. And a spear is great for catching fish. It is great for hunting deer, raccoons, foxes, coyotes, whatever, you name it. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this little tree right here, okay? It is okay that we are taking this tree out for a video, and because there are tons of trees, and this one is actually starting to die a little bit. So this is a semi-green tree, so it is very flexible, strong, and sturdy, and it is very straight, not to mention. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to fell this tree with my knife, straight up, straighten it all out, get all the limbs off the edge, and then we are going to start the spear making process. All right, let's get into it. So when you're doing this, what I like to do, see all these offshoot branches? Go ahead and start trimming them off with your knife. Very simple. Just want that straight stick, okay? Super easy. Sorry for a little wind here. It is a little windy today. Just trim these off, real simple. And always be careful when you're going and cutting down. If you cut like this, you're gonna slice right through into your hand. Big problem. If you're out in the woods and you get cut, very big chance of bacterial infection. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna break out the good old saw. So, folding saw, super easy. Pretty decent size, okay? Closer to the bottom you get, the better. So, let's reposition, kind of get over here, and we're just gonna start sawing. Boom, that easy. Right here is our future spear, okay? So now what we're gonna do, always put your equipment away. You don't wanna get yourself cut or injured with it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our branch. I'm just gonna start felling the rest of these side branches off with our knife. One big, long, straight branch is what we're looking for. And then we are going to snap this off on the end because we do not need the full length of the branch. So we're going to cut this. Green wood is also easier to cut, which is very nice as well. Snap it right there, just like that, guys. Boom. That is a spear, a future spear. I might actually end up trimming it right here. The longer the spear, the better, because you can almost reach out and spear a fish if you wanted to as well, which is a lot better. But I'm gonna get you guys a close-up camera angle on how I make the spear and the carving process as well. All right, guys, so we are back, and we are going to be making our spear, part 2. Okay, so we have our stick here. We have it felled. We have it trimmed down to the size we want. Now, one side of the stick is heavier than the other. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna try and take a little material off of this heavier side. So we're gonna take our knife, always cut away from you. If you cut towards you, you're gonna slide right into your hand and or your body. Always cut away, boom, just start shaving. Shave that little layer of bark, that first layer of bark off. That gets most of the weight off the wood. Doesn't have to be pretty. You're out in the woods. You're trying to get food. Make the spear, that's the priority. Don't take your time and make it look like a masterpiece. It doesn't have to look good. Start trimming it off. Boom. Even the weight out on the spear. Even weight means even spear, and that means it will fly through the air a lot more even and precisely. Take a look at that. Boom. Okay, this is gonna be the spear end, okay? So now, the next step is super easy as well. We're gonna need to get this into a tip, just like this knife. So how we're gonna do that is, you can do a lot of different ways. You can rub it up against a rock, which is time consuming, but it is a very effective way to get the stick to a sharp point. Or you can use a knife and do some standard carving. So decide how big your point you want to be. You want to make it a short stub on the end, make short little carvings like that. If you want to make it a long point, make long carvings. I'm going to do a long point, about 6 inches. So we're just going to start hacking this. Start hacking away at this. This part takes a little bit of time, so this is going to take a little bit. I will catch back with you guys in a second on how it looks after I do this step and process. Alrighty guys, so that took about 5 to 7 minutes. That is by far the easiest way to make a functional survival weapon, okay? This spear is done. It is done, ready for hunting. And what I did here is I just used my knife, sharpened it down to a nice point, and my point is approximately about 4 inches tall, so it does go deep, and it has a nice tip to it. This is probably the best survival weapon you can make because you can make multiple of them. You can make like a trap, like a fall trap. If you wanted to, you could dig a hole, put bait over the top, stick a bunch of these down in the ground. You can make a fall trap. You can make a very large variety of items that can be used to hunt and spear with. So the spear is the go-to kind of first survival weapon you want to make. It is also a very good self-defense item. You can defend yourself off against bears, cougars, if you're in Colorado per se. With this item, very sharp. It will go deep, and this would be my go-to first survival item to make, and it is also a good walking stick as well. So that is mission number 1 complete. Create a survival weapon that is killable, and yeah, let's get into the second part, which is making our shelter. Okay guys, so we're gonna start our next challenge, making a shelter. This is the location we're gonna making it. This is the flattest area along this ridge line. It is steep up there. So all we are gonna be using is our knives and saw, and we're gonna make a lean-to shelter, which is a super easy shelter to make. Probably the easiest one. Find a nice strong tree. This walnut will work right here. And find a long branch. I would get one at least 6 to 7 feet long. And then you are just gonna put that as your center beam, lean a bunch of other sticks along the side, and I will give you guys a time lapse. How about a time lapse video to show you guys making it, to show you me making, whatever, to show you guys me making the lean-to shelter. That is our second challenge. It's gotta be a windbreaker, so I can't just stick stuff there and pretend that it blocks the wind. I will show you guys my point of view inside of the shelter, and this is the most time-consuming part in a survival situation, which is creating your shelter. And we do not have access to bamboo, which is the go-to survival material, so we will be cutting a lot of the stuff, which does take time. Update you guys here in a little bit and show you guys a time-lapse of me making it. So guys, this is pretty sad. I just now realized my camera wasn't recording. Beginner mistake, and I built the whole thing without recording it at all, so that's nice. I'll give you a quick rundown of how I made it, and that's just the lean-to shelter right there. So pretty much all I did was got this nice great big piece of wood, super huge, about 6-7 feet long, leaned it up against a main tree, as you can see, center post, and then I just grabbed a bunch of sticks, and I mean a bunch, like I probably like solid 10-15, and that super huge piece of bark, and just leaned them up against it. That's all you got to do. That's why it's called a lean-to shelter. That's it. But we are not done yet, so I will get the film and show you guys what I do in order to make it a fully operational windbreaker. I'm gonna find more pieces of bark to put in between the crevices, because obviously the wind just flows straight through, and then we will be done with challenge number 2. And then all we will have to do is make the bed, and we are complete with our 2-hour survival challenge. Again, sorry I wasn't recording that. I will show you guys here in a little bit once I collect all the bark, and I will set up the rest of the shelter. Alright guys, so I got a pretty decent amount of bark right here. Putting that on the shelter to make it a windbreaker. Now, warning, I am not going to be able to cover up the whole thing. I'm just running out of time. But I will cover up a section of it, which is better than nothing. So, what I like to do is I like to cut these pieces of bark off of dead trees. This huge oak tree had fallen over there. So, I use these off of it. And again, don't just take this stuff off of trees that are alive. There's plenty of dead trees around here that provide bark as well. Okay, and what I like to do is I just like to make a little windbreaker. It's really simple. Lean it just right against there, just like that. It's small. It's the small things that count. It really is. Just like that. You're blocking those holes that allow the wind to slip through. Just like that. Big piece here. This one can go right over here. Like that. Super simple. And then you can kind of stack them This is where it gets to be a little bit of a balancing act, sort of. But this should not be super challenging for anybody. Just stacking them like this at this point. There you can kind of stack them like that. That looks really good. And if you have brittle bark, it's best to just be careful with it because you want to leave them in big pieces because they're way easier to stack and put up when they're in bigger pieces like that. Super simple. Got our last big piece here. That's not half bad right there. Again, I'm sorry I'm not covering up the whole thing, but you guys kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Let's give you a quick tour on the inside. So this is the inside here. I'm gonna make the bed for our third part of the challenge, which is gonna be right here. I will get going on that here in a little bit, but let's sit down and see how it feels. Okay. And we can just lean right up against the back of this tree here. Check that out. That's not half bad. Again, right there, we just ran out of bark, but just trying to give you guys a tutorial at this point. Not a real life scenario, because obviously I'm not stranded and I don't need to make a shelter. But that is basically the gist of it. If you're in a tropical region, you can kind of just have a bit more access to better materials like palm leaves and stuff. Elephant ears, you can use those leaves and just lay them against here. That's what I would do. And yeah, let's get making the bed, and we'll gather the materials for that, and then I will show you guys how to make that. All right, I'm back. Third challenge we are starting. We've gathered some pine branches. In reality, I would have gathered more, but I'm not trying to go out and kill a whole pine tree just to make a video. That's kind of dumb. So we're just gonna grab pine trees. You can grab palm leaves. You can grab dried leaves. You can grab any kind of brush. You can grab grass too. Dry grass is super good as well. Anything that you think would be comfortable. You determine what you want to use. You don't have to use pine branches, but that is what I have access to at the moment because it is winter. So that is what I will be using. So let's get into it and I will show you guys how to do this. So once you get them all piled up, right here we got our lean-to shelter. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start evening this out, okay? Grab those pine branches and just start scattering them. Scattering them across the bottom. Even them out. Just like this. Doesn't have to be pretty. You decide how comfortable you want to make it. You do not have to do this. I'm just taking them and scattering them across the floor here of our shelter. Doesn't have to be that complicated. Kind of pat them down a little. Do whatever you want. You make it however comfortable you want it. Okay? And guys, that's just it. Let's sit down and test it out, okay? Okay. There we go. Dude, that is actually kind of comfortable. Holy cow. This is a little awkward because I'm leaning back because I'm on a slope. Maybe we flip around. Let's try that. Sorry for the bad camera filming. There we go. There we go. Got our nice roof, protected from the wind. We got our padding down here with the fern / pine leaves. Guys, mission accomplished. 2-hour survival challenge done. You know, I hope you guys liked the video. I'm trying something new. Again, make sure you check where you're doing your challenge at before you actually go there and do it. Don't go on someone's private property and stuff. But let's give you an overview of what we did. All right, that's the full shelter right there, boys. We got our padding right there. By no means is this a complete shelter though. I would have completed it if I had more time. There's only a certain amount of time in my day, and I got a little bit of a late start to the day, so that is it right there. I'd say the key thing to your shelter, to keeping it warm, is the roof, 100%. The roof and sides are the key components. Bark is super, super big, in my opinion, if you can get that set up against stuff. Tree leaves, palm tree leaves, elfin ears, ferns, pine leaves. I used pine branches. Perfect bedding material. And then you just pile a bunch up where you want your head to lay, and that's your pillow. And then that is it. And then the spear, that was probably the easiest thing to make. Right there's the spear. This can be used to hunt with, this can be used to defend with, this can be used to make traps, this can be used for all sorts of different things. This is the go-to survival weapon in my opinion, and it is a great walking stick as well. But I hope you guys liked this video. Again, trying something new. Please, please, please let me know if you see this video and you're not subscribed and you don't know who I am. Let me know if this is a good idea and I should keep doing this, because I can come back and make modifications, add on to this shelter, and make it a fully operational one. But I got a little bit of a bike ride home, and then I will be just recovering and chilling out from the long day making this video. So please comment, like, subscribe, ring that bell, because you will not miss out on any more uploads, and I will try and keep you guys coming with the content. Sorry, that sounds weird. I'll try and keep you guys flowing with content so you can see what I'm up to, and yeah, hope you guys like the video, and let me know if you have any other ideas for me to post.